Two moons shone over the dark red sky of the planet Renara. The wind screamed through the broken mountains, carrying the smell of burning metal and dust. Somewhere in that endless desert, a lone figure ran, fast, desperate, and afraid. Her name was Zyra, and in her arms she carried a newborn child wrapped in silver cloth. The baby cried softly, her voice like a small melody lost in the storm. Zyra pressed the child close to her chest. "Hush, my little one," she whispered in her alien tongue. "They must not find us." Behind her, bright blue lights cut through the darkness. Hunters. Their hoverbikes roared as they chased her trail. Red scanners flashed across the rocks, searching for her heat signature. Zyra stumbled, her feet bleeding on the sharp ground. But she kept running. She could not stop. She would never stop. She reached an old temple ruin, half buried in sand. Its walls were carved with ancient runes, symbols of the old queens long forgotten. She crawled inside, hiding behind a fallen pillar. Her breathing was heavy, her skin covered in sweat and dirt. Outside, the hunters shouted to each other. Their metallic voices echoed through the night. "Find the queen. She carries the cursed blood. Her child must be taken to the council." Zyra looked down at her baby, tears glowing in her bright golden eyes. "You are not a curse," she whispered. "You are life." A loud explosion shook the ground. The hunters had fired plasma bombs at the temple entrance. Dust and light filled the air. Zyra covered her baby and cried out in pain as fire brushed her back. Her silver armor cracked. Then she heard it, the voice of the hunter commander, cold and sharp through a speaker. "Zyra of House Kale, by order of the Rhinar Council, you are sentenced to death for giving birth to daughters. Surrender the child and we may let you live long enough to watch her die." Zyra's heart broke, but her eyes turned fierce. "No," she whispered. "You will never touch her." She looked around, searching for escape. In the corner of the temple, she found a half-buried escape pod, ancient, rusted, forgotten by time. Its control lights still blinked weakly. She placed the baby inside and activated the pod. The machine hummed, scanning her DNA. "Destination unknown," it said in an old robotic voice. Zyra's tears fell onto the baby's small face. "Forgive me, my child. I will find you again wherever the stars take you." But before she could close the hatch, a plasma blast hit the wall behind her. She screamed as energy burned across her shoulder. The commander appeared through the smoke, tall, armored, his helmet glowing red. "You cannot escape, Queen of Curses," he said. Zyra turned, her hands glowing with blue fire. "Watch me." With her last strength, she threw a pulse of pure energy. It exploded through the temple, tossing the commander back. The shockwave broke the ceiling apart, opening a hole to the night sky. Zyra pressed the pod's launch button. The small craft lifted, shaking, humming, and then, boom! It shot upward through the dust into the stars. The commander screamed in anger. "Shoot it down." But the pod vanished into the black sky, too fast to follow. Zyra collapsed to her knees, smoke rising around her. Her body was weak, her armor broken, but a small smile touched her lips. "Live, my daughter," she whispered. "Live for both of us." Then darkness took her. Far above the burning planet, the pod drifted silently through space. Inside, the baby slept, her tiny hands glowing with a soft golden light. The pod's sensors beeped. New planet detected. Oxygen level compatible. Coordinates locked. The stars moved faster, stretching into bright lines as the pod entered warp. Behind it, Rhinara burned. Across the galaxy, bounty beacons lit up one by one. The voice of the hunter commander echoed through the network. "The Queen's bloodline has escaped. Find the child. Dead or alive, days passed." The pod drifted through dust and comets, through silence and shadow, until finally, it neared a small blue planet, Earth. The pod's systems flickered weakly, running out of power. It entered the planet's atmosphere like a falling star. People on Earth looked up and made wishes, not knowing that what fell from the sky was not a meteor but a beginning. In a quiet desert far from any city, the pod crashed into the sand with a deep rumble. The ground smoked. The baby cried. Inside the pod, a small hologram flickered to life, Zyra's face. "My child," her voice echoed softly. "Wherever you land, may someone kind find you." The message ended. The baby's eyes opened, bright golden, glowing in the dark. Outside, footsteps approached. A man's shadow moved across the sand, drawn by the crash. He looked inside the broken pod and gasped. There, among the smoke and light, was the alien child, And that was the moment everything changed. The night over the Nevada desert was silent. The stars hung like silver eyes watching the world below. Only the wind whispered, moving over dry sand and lonely stones. Then, boom! A fireball tore through the sky, bright enough to turn night into day for a moment. It fell fast, leaving a trail of blue flames behind it. The crash shook the ground for miles. A man named Elias Kane looked up from his old truck. He was driving home from his shift at a scrapyard. His face, rough and tired, lit up in the reflection of the falling light. "What the hell was that?" he whispered. Elias wasn't afraid of strange things. He had seen enough in war and explosions, death, silence. He had been a soldier once, a good one, until the war ended and left him with nothing but scars and memories. He followed the direction of the falling fire. The desert was endless, cold and quiet. But something inside him, an instinct, told him to go. After 20 minutes of driving, he found it. A deep crater, glowing faintly blue. Smoke rose into the cold air. Sand still burned around the edges. At the center of the crater sat something that didn't belong on Earth. A small silver pod, cracked and steaming. Elias parked and grabbed his flashlight. "What the hell?" He climbed down carefully, boots crunching against glass-like sand. The pod was the size of a coffin, shaped like a teardrop, covered in alien symbols that pulsed like heartbeat light. He wiped off some dust and looked inside through a small window. A baby. His heart stopped. He stepped back, blinking hard. No way. The baby wasn't human. Its skin glowed faintly gold under the light. Tiny markings like constellations shimmered on her arms, and when she opened her eyes, they were not blue or brown, they were liquid gold. She looked at him unafraid. Elias froze, unsure what to do. He reached for the hatch, but it didn't move. The pod's screen blinked in strange alien text. Then it translated into English. Guardian DNA required. Touch to unlock. He hesitated, then slowly placed his hand on the panel. The screen scanned him. A small green light flashed. Accepted. With a soft hiss, the pod opened. Warm air came out, carrying the smell of something like honey and metal. The baby made a small sound, not crying but humming, almost as if she was singing. Elias lifted her carefully. She was light, warm, and soft. Her heart beat fast, just like a human baby. "What are you?" he whispered, and then he saw it. A small hologram flickered to life inside the pod. It showed a woman's face, pale blue skin, long silver hair, and eyes full of pain. "Zyra." Her voice was weak but full of emotion. "To the one who finds her, protect her. She is my last hope. My daughter. My future, please. Don't let them take her." The message ended. Elias stood there, speechless, holding the child as the hologram faded. The desert wind blew softly like a whisper from another world. He took the baby to his cabin, a lonely house far from any town. It was old, quiet, and filled with tools and broken machines. He laid her gently on a blanket near the fire. As he watched her sleep, strange questions burned in his mind. "Who are you? Where did you come from? What am I supposed to do with you?" He tried to call the local police, then stopped. What would he even say? "Hey, I found a glowing baby from space?" They'd lock him up, so he kept quiet. Hours passed. The desert outside grew darker. Then, just before dawn, his power flickered. The lights went off. Elias grabbed his flashlight. Damn generator. But when he turned around, the baby was awake. Her golden eyes glowed softly, and every broken light bulb in the room came back to life, glowing without power. The radio turned on by itself, whispering static and strange alien tones. Elias froze. The air around her shimmered like heat waves. She looked straight at him, and suddenly he heard her voice, not through his ears, but inside his mind. "Don't be afraid," he stumbled back. "You can talk?" The baby didn't move her lips. But the voice was clear. "You are kind," my mother said. "Someone kind would find me." Elias's throat went dry. He sat down slowly, staring at her glowing eyes. "Okay," he whispered, half laughing, half shaking. "I'm losing my damn mind." But the baby smiled, a real innocent smile, and somehow deep inside Elias felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Morning came. He stepped outside with a cup of coffee, trying to make sense of it all. The desert looked peaceful. No signs of danger, but then he noticed something strange. In the distance, 3 points of light floated in the sky, too still, too bright to be stars. He watched them for a long time. Then one by one the lights moved, fast. Faster than any aircraft he'd ever seen. Elias ran back inside. The baby looked up at him calm as if she already knew. "They are coming," her voice whispered in his head. For me. Outside, thunder rolled across a cloudless sky, and above the desert, 3 dark ships descended through the morning light. The sun was just rising over the Nevada desert when the world changed again. The sky looked normal at first, pale orange and calm. But then a sound came, a low, strange hum that made the sand tremble. Birds scattered. The air turned heavy. Elias Kane stood outside his cabin, squinting toward the light. 3 black shapes broke through the clouds. They moved like shadows, silent, smooth, and alive. Alien ships. He felt the same cold fear he used to feel in battle. Only this time he had no gun, no backup, and no command. Just the baby, the golden-eyed child now sleeping inside. Elias ran inside the cabin, shutting the door. His hands shook as he locked it, though he knew locks wouldn't matter. The baby, lying in a small metal tub wrapped in blankets, opened her glowing eyes. "They found us," she said in his mind, her small voice calm, almost sad. Elias knelt beside her. "Who are they?" "What do they want from you?" "They want my light," she whispered. "The blood of my mother. The blood of the queen." The word queen echoed in his head. He thought of the hologram, Zyra's face, her voice begging someone to protect her child. He had promised even if he hadn't said it aloud. The sound outside grew louder. A beam of blue light swept across the desert, scanning the ground like an eye. It stopped on the cabin. Elias cursed under his breath. "Guess that's our invitation." The cabin shook as the first hunter ship landed. Dust rose around it. The metal hull hissed as vents opened, releasing gas that shimmered like silver smoke. Elias grabbed his old rifle from the wall. It was human tech, useless against something that could cross galaxies, but holding it gave him courage. He looked down at the baby. "You stay here, all right? No matter what happens, you don't move." The baby blinked. Her small hand reached toward him. "Elias, don't die," he smiled weakly. "Not planning to." Outside, the hatch of the alien ship opened. 3 hunters stepped out, tall, armored, faces hidden behind helmets that glowed red. Their movements were too smooth, too quiet. They scanned the air with their weapons, long black spears that hummed with blue electricity. One of them spoke in a deep voice. "Life form detected, human. Secondary life form with royal blood signature confirmed." Elias aimed his rifle. "You picked the wrong desert, pal." They turned their heads toward him. Their eyes glowed behind glass. "Human interference unauthorized," one said coldly. Elias fired. The bullet hit the alien's chest and bounced off like a pebble. The hunters raised their weapons. Blue light gathered at the tips. Before they could fire, the ground beneath them glowed bright gold, a circular pattern burning through the sand. The baby. Inside the cabin, the child had raised her tiny hands. Her eyes shone like twin suns. Energy waves pulsed out, shaking the air. The hunters stumbled. One screamed as his armor melted off. The ship's lights flickered. Elias turned toward the house, fear and awe mixing in his chest. "What are you doing, kid?" "Protecting you," the voice said in his mind. A shock wave burst outward. The alien ships lifted off the ground, spinning, systems dying. One crashed into a hill, exploding into blue fire. Elias ran inside. The baby was glowing so bright he could barely look at her. Her cry was like thunder, filled with pain and power. "Hey, stop, you're gonna burn yourself out." He wrapped her in his arms. The glow softened. The cabin filled with silence again. When he looked out the window, only smoke and wreckage remained. 2 ships were gone. One had escaped into the sky. Elias sighed, heart pounding. "We're alive, somehow." But the baby looked at him, her eyes dim. "They will bring more, stronger ones." Elias sat down beside her, tired. "Then I guess we'll need to get ready." Later that night, he buried the broken alien armor outside. He didn't want anyone to find it. Not the military, not the news. He had learned one thing in war. Once the world knows about something powerful, they destroy it or use it. He wasn't going to let either happen to her. Inside the cabin, the baby was quiet. The air felt strange, heavy with an unknown energy. When Elias touched her small hand, a flash filled his mind. Not pain, but memory. He saw visions. A tall alien woman standing before a glowing throne. Zyra. Her eyes full of sadness and fire. She held her newborn, whispering in the alien language. "You will be safe. One day you will find the world that still remembers love." Elias gasped, pulling back. "I saw her." "Your mother." The baby looked up. "She's still alive," Elias froze. "What?" "They captured her." "But I can feel her. Through the bond." He didn't understand half of what she said, but one thing was clear. Her mother wasn't gone. She was somewhere out there. He looked at the stars through the cabin window. The sky shimmered, quiet and endless. "All right, little one," he said softly. "Then we're gonna find her." "You would go to the stars." "For me?" Elias smiled. "For you? Yeah, I'd go anywhere." Outside, the last alien ship escaped Earth's orbit, sending a signal through the void. A cold metallic voice spoke into the dark. "Target alive. Human protector identified. Begin planetary invasion protocol." The world outside was calm again. The stars shone over the quiet desert, pretending nothing had happened. But inside Elias Kane's small cabin, everything had changed. The alien child, the baby with golden eyes, slept peacefully on the couch. Her light had dimmed after saving them from the hunters. Elias watched her chest rise and fall, wondering how someone so small could hold the power to destroy ships. He sat by the window, sipping coffee that had long gone cold. His mind was a storm. Who was she? Who was the alien woman in his visions? And why, when he held the child, did he feel something inside him answer back, like two signals connecting across space and time? At dawn, he decided to find answers. He brought out the broken alien helmet he had taken from one of the fallen hunters. The metal was warm, still humming faintly. Strange symbols moved like living script on its surface. Elias laid it on the table, muttering to himself. "All right, let's see what secrets you're hiding." The baby, half awake, looked at him. Her voice came softly in his head. "It will only open for royal blood." Elias frowned. "Well, I'm fresh out of that." The baby blinked, then touched the helmet with her small hand. It glowed. The air in the room changed, heavy, electric. A hologram burst out of the helmet, spinning slowly in midair. Elias stepped back. What the hell? The image showed Zyra, the alien woman, standing in a glowing chamber filled with mirrors. She looked younger, stronger, her armor shining silver and gold. Her voice echoed through the cabin like wind through glass. "If you are hearing this, I have failed to protect my daughters. Our kind is dying, poisoned by pride, trapped by fear. They fear the daughters because they are different. They can change us." Elias leaned closer. "Change you how?" Zyra's voice continued, calm but full of sorrow. "For centuries our species gave birth only to sons, warriors built for war. But when I gave birth to a daughter, she was not like them. Her blood held the power to connect with other life. Even human life." The hologram shifted. A bright image appeared. DNA strands glowing blue and gold, twisting together like threads of light. "Our daughters can link species, heal what war destroyed, bring peace between worlds. That is why the Council hunts them. They fear unity." Elias felt the weight of her words sink deep. "So your people want war, but your daughters can bring peace." Zyra's voice lowered, almost breaking. "My first daughter was taken from me. They called her a weapon. I hid my second. The one you found." The hologram flickered. Her face turned toward the camera, eyes shining. "Whoever you are, human or not, protect her. She is more than my child. She is the key to the next age." The projection faded into darkness. Elias stood frozen. He looked at the sleeping baby, the so-called key to the next age. He exhaled slowly. "Guess I just adopted the galaxy's most wanted miracle." That night, a storm rolled over the desert. Lightning flashing, wind howling. The baby woke up crying softly, her glow flickering like a candle. Elias lifted her in his arms, rocking her gently. "It's all right, kid. I got you." Her small hands touched his face. A sudden rush of images filled his mind. Cities of glass floating in clouds, alien queens kneeling in light, armies marching across burning planets. And then, a prison, Zyra, shackled, weak, still alive. Elias gasped, clutching his head. "Stop, I can't." The vision stopped. The baby's voice whispered in his mind, soft and trembling. "They have her, my mother. She's alive but trapped. I can feel her crying through the stars. Elias sat down, heart racing. You can feel her? Yes, all daughters can feel their mother. We are connected. He looked at her glowing eyes, realizing she wasn't just a child. She was something the universe hadn't seen before. A bridge between two species. Elias rubbed his hands over his face. All right. If she's alive, then we're gonna find her. You will help me? He smiled faintly. Help you? Kid, I've already buried alien soldiers in my backyard. We're in this together now. The baby tilted her head, confused. Together? Yeah, he said softly. That's what family means. But far above Earth, inside a cold metallic fortress orbiting a dead star, Zyra hung suspended in a cage of light. The air around her crackled with energy. A voice echoed, deep, cruel, and familiar. Your daughter has been found, the alien emperor said. And she is with a human. Syrah raised her head, her eyes weak but burning with rage. If you touch them, you'll regret it, the emperor smirked. The girl carries the power to merge bloodlines. Once we take it, we will control every world in this galaxy, including yours. Syrah's voice trembled, but her words were sharp as blades. You can't control love. You can't control hope. The emperor leaned closer. Then I will destroy them both and erase your curse forever. Zyra closed her eyes, whispering a name. Elias. Protect her. Back on Earth, lightning struck the desert as Elias prepared the stolen alien ship he had dragged from the crash site. Its engine hummed faintly. He didn't know how to fly it yet, but he'd figure it out. The baby watched him quietly, golden light dancing in her eyes. You are brave, Elias Kane. He smiled without looking up. Brave? Nah, just too stubborn to quit. That is what my mother said. Before they took her. Elias paused. He looked at the endless stars above. Somewhere out there, a war was waiting. He tightened his grip on the controls. Hold on, kid. We're coming for your mom. The alien ship's engines roared to life, painting the desert gold. As it lifted into the sky, the baby whispered the same word again, softly like a promise across space. Together. The stars stretched like silver rivers across the black ocean of space. Elias Kane sat in the pilot's seat of the stolen alien ship, his hands tight on the glowing controls. The hum of the engine sounded almost alive, deep, steady, and strange. Beside him, in a small floating cradle of light, the golden-eyed child watched quietly. Her tiny fingers glowed faintly, guiding the ship through invisible paths only she could see. The way to my mother is cold, she said softly in his mind. Very cold. The world where they keep her has no sun. Elias nodded. Then I'll bring her one. It had been 3 days since they left Earth. Elias didn't sleep much. He spent hours studying alien symbols, learning how the ship worked. The child, he had started calling her Lyra, seemed to understand everything the ship said, as if it spoke directly to her mind. Sometimes, she would hum softly and the ship's walls would respond, lighting up like they were alive. Elias had seen a lot of strange things in his life, but this was something else. A baby who could speak without words, a ship that seemed to love her, and a mission that could kill them both. Still, he didn't turn back. As they approached the edge of a dying star system, alarms blinked red. Entering restricted zone, the ship's voice said. Warning, frost barrier ahead. Outside the window, the stars began to vanish and swallowed by a pale fog that looked like frozen smoke. Shards of ice drifted in endless silence. Elias felt a chill crawl up his arms. This is it? Lyra nodded. Her voice whispered inside his head. The frozen planet. The prison of my people. They broke through the mist and there it was, a planet made entirely of ice. White storms circled its poles. Mountains of crystal rose like knives. At its center stood a fortress, black and massive, glowing faintly blue, a wound in a dead world. Elias exhaled. Let's bring your mother home. The ship descended through freezing clouds. Snow slammed against the hull. Elias landed on a cliff overlooking the fortress. The air outside shimmered with cold energy, like light trapped in glass. He pulled on a worn jacket and grabbed the alien rifle he had taken from the hunters. Lyra floated behind him, wrapped in her soft blue light. She's below us, Lyra said. I can feel her heart. Elias looked down into the valley. Soldiers patrolled the gates, tall silver-skinned aliens with glowing armor. Drones hovered above them, watching everything. It looked impossible. But Elias had fought impossible before. They moved through the snow in silence. Each step crunched softly under his boots. The fortress loomed larger, its walls covered in frost and alien runes. At a side gate, 2 guards stood near a glowing console. Elias crouched behind a rock, thinking fast. "All right, kid," he whispered. "You think you can do your light trick again?" Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. The air shimmered. Within seconds, the guards froze, literally. Ice crept over their armor, locking them in place. Elias blinked. "Remind me not to make you mad." They slipped inside. The corridors were long and cold, lined with strange statues that looked like frozen souls. Each step echoed. The deeper they went, the darker it became. Then Lyra stopped. Her eyes widened. She is near. Elias turned a corner and saw her, Zira, the alien queen, suspended inside a glass-like cage of energy. Her eyes were closed, her skin pale blue, frost on her lips. Elias rushed forward. "Zyra, hey! Wake up!" Her eyelids fluttered. Slowly she opened her eyes, golden and glowing faintly like her daughter's. When she saw Elias, confusion flickered into recognition. "You." "The human from the vision," she whispered weakly. Elias smiled. "Yeah, sorry I took so long." Lyra floated closer, pressing her tiny hands against the cage. The energy rippled like water. "Mother," she whispered. Zira's eyes filled with tears. "My child, you survived." The lights in the chamber turned red. Sirens wailed. A deep metallic voice filled the air. "Unauthorized presence detected. Capture protocol engaged," Elias cursed. Of course, doors slammed open. Soldiers poured in, a dozen, then more. Blue weapons aimed straight at them. Elias raised the alien rifle. "Stay behind me," he fired. Bolts of light burst across the room. Guards fell, armor cracking under the impact. Lyra screamed, not in fear but power. Her eyes burned bright gold and a wave of energy exploded outward, freezing everything it touched. The guards froze mid-motion, trapped in shining ice. Elias broke the energy cage with a swing of the rifle's butt. The glass shattered. He caught Zira as she fell, weak but alive. Her voice trembled. "You saved me," Elias grinned. "Actually, it was your kid. I just carried the gun." They ran through the halls as the fortress shook behind them. Alarms howled. Outside, the storm roared louder. Elias half-carried Zira while Lyra floated ahead, guiding them through the blizzard. But just as they reached the cliff where the ship waited, a new voice thundered from above, deep, powerful, filled with hate, running again. "My queen?" They looked up. A massive ship descended, blocking the light. From it stepped a towering alien in black armor, the Emperor. Zyra's former mate, Zira's face went pale. "No," Elias aimed his weapon. "Who the hell are you?" The Emperor's eyes glowed red. "The end of your kind, human." He raised his hand. Lightning burst from the sky, striking the ground around them. Zira pushed Lyra behind her. "Go, take her and run!" Elias stood his ground. "Not without you," the Emperor laughed. "Then you will all die together." The storm roared. The ice cracked beneath their feet, and somewhere deep in the heart of the frozen world, a forgotten power began to wake, a power older than both human and alien blood. The frozen world of Nareth burned with light. The Emperor's black ship hovered above the mountains, its engines roaring like thunder. Below it, snow turned to steam. Elias Kane stood in the storm, holding his rifle, facing a being that could destroy worlds. His body shook not from fear, but from the weight of what he had to protect. Beside him, Zira, pale, weak yet unbroken, held her daughter close. Lyra's golden eyes glowed brighter with every heartbeat. The Emperor's voice echoed across the ice. "You think a human can stand against a god?" Elias spat blood, glaring up. "Never met a god who bleeds." The Emperor's armor flared crimson. "Then you will learn." He raised his hand. A beam of red lightning shot from the sky. Elias dove forward, rolling through the snow as the ground exploded behind him. Zyra shielded Lyra, her hands glowing blue, forming a dome of energy that cracked under the impact. Elias fired back. His rifle hummed, shooting streaks of alien plasma. The Emperor deflected them easily, his laughter echoing through the storm. "Your courage amuses me, human," he said, stepping closer. "But courage cannot stop the blood tide." Zyra stood, weak but furious. "You talk of blood, yet you kill your own people." You call yourself a god, but you fear your daughters. The Emperor turned his gaze on her. I fear nothing. Least of all you, fallen queen? Lyra began to cry softly, her tears glowing like stars. The ground under her feet started to hum, the ice turning to light. Zira looked down, eyes wide. She's awakening. The sky cracked open. Dozens of alien warships appeared through portals, dark, sharp, and alive. Their lights flickered red, and their cannons aimed toward the blue planet far beyond. Earth. Elias saw it on the horizon of the stars. Small, fragile, beautiful. His home, he clenched his fists. You're not touching my world, he turned to Zira. Can your ships reach them? She shook her head. They obey him. The council is his army. Then we make our own army, Elias said, voice steady. Zira frowned. With what? Elias smirked. Humans don't need much. Just a reason to fight. They fled to the ship through falling ice and laser fire. Zira collapsed in the co-pilot seat, her hands trembling as she linked her mind to the system. Lyra floated in a cradle of light between them, her eyes glowing like tiny suns. Elias gripped the controls. Let's go home. The engines roared, breaking through the frozen sky. The ship shot upward, leaving the Emperor behind. For now. Hours later, Earth appeared beneath them. Blue oceans, white clouds, glowing cities. But above it, the war had already begun. Alien warships surrounded the planet, firing beams of red light into the atmosphere. Human defense fleets, black jets and orbital cannons, fought back. Explosions bloomed like fireflowers in space. Elias stared in disbelief. They're attacking already, Zira nodded. He's trying to draw you out. He knows she's here. Elias slammed his hand on the console. Then he's gonna wish he hadn't. The human command channel came alive. This is Admiral Collins. Who the hell are you, and what are... You flying? This is Elias Kane, he replied. Civilian. But I'm bringing you something that can end this war. There was silence. Then, copy that, Kane. Whatever you've got, bring it fast. The alien ships noticed them. 3 cruisers turned, locking onto Elias's craft. Zira, he said, can we cloak? Not for long. Long enough will do. She placed her hands on the glowing panels. The ship shimmered and vanished from sight. They slipped past the enemy lines, diving toward the largest alien carrier orbiting Earth. Inside that carrier, the Emperor stood before a massive hologram showing the battle. He smiled coldly. The human returns. How fitting, and to die among his own. He raised his hand. Prepare the planet killer. A giant cannon unfolded beneath his ship. Glowing red. A weapon meant to end worlds. Elias burst through the clouds of smoke and debris, heading straight for the Emperor's flagship. Zira, get me close enough to jump. She stared at him. You'll die. Maybe, but I'll make sure he goes first. Lyra's voice filled the ship, trembling. No, you are part of the bond now. If you die, we all die. Elias hesitated. Then what do we do, kid? Lyra closed her eyes. Her golden glow filled the cabin. We fight together. The ship transformed, its metal bending, reshaping under her power. Wings expanded like glass. Energy pulsed through every wire. It no longer looked like a machine. It looked alive, Zira gasped. She's merging with the core. Lyra floated upward, her body surrounded by light. Her voice echoed through every human channel, every alien ship. Stop this. We are one blood. We are one light. For a brief moment, everything went silent. The stars paused. The ship stopped firing. Even the Emperor froze. Then, light exploded from Lyra's body, spreading across the sky. It touched every human ship, every alien weapon, disabling them without destroying them. The energy melted away hate, confusion, control. Zira fell to her knees, crying. She's doing it. She's uniting them. But the Emperor screamed in fury. No, I am the galaxy. He charged his cannon on one last shot. Elias saw it coming. Zira, shield up. She raised her hands and the shield barely formed. The cannon fired, the blast hit them square. The ship spun out of control, fire trailing behind. Elias pulled hard on the controls, teeth gritted. Hold together, you piece of junk. Lyra's light wrapped around them, protecting them as they fell toward Earth's atmosphere. The sky burned orange around them. Zira reached for his hand. Elias, he smiled weakly. Still not dead yet. They crashed in a desert, in the same one where it all began. The ship lay broken, smoke rising into the dawn. Elias crawled out, bruised but breathing. Zyra stumbled beside him, holding Lyra, who now looked calm, her glow soft like morning light. Far above, the alien fleet drifted silently. The Emperor's ship burned and broke apart, his empire undone by a child's light. Elias looked at the sunrise. "War's over, huh?" Zyra smiled faintly. "Because of you," he shook his head. "Because of her." Lyra opened her golden eyes and whispered softly, "Because of us." The war was over. The sky above Earth glowed gold as broken alien ships drifted silently, their lights fading into the morning sun. The air was quiet, too quiet for a world that had almost ended. Elias Kane stood in the desert where it all began, the cold wind brushing against his face. The horizon stretched endlessly, glowing under the rising sun. Beside him stood Zyra, her silver hair catching the light, and in her arms little Lyra, the child who had stopped 2 galaxies from tearing each other apart. They were alive. And somehow so was hope. For the first time since the invasion, there were no alarms, no screams, no fire raining from the sky. Only silence, the kind that comes after a storm. Zyra turned to Elias, her golden eyes soft. "You saved my people," she said. Elias smiled faintly. "You mean our people?" She looked at him, confused. "Our?" He gestured toward the distant horizon where human rescue ships were landing beside alien survivors. Soldiers, scientists, and strange creatures from across the stars worked side by side, pulling the wounded from the rubble. "Look at them," Elias said quietly. "Humans and aliens together. That's what Lyra wanted. What you wanted. That makes us one now." Zyra's lips trembled as if she wanted to speak, but emotion caught her voice. Instead, she just nodded. Days passed. The news spread across galaxies. The War Queen Zyra lives. The human Elias Kane stood beside her. Their daughter ended the blood war. What followed was not peace at first. There was fear, confusion, anger. But slowly, through the ruins, something new began to grow. Understanding. Humans called it the Dawn Pact. Aliens called it the Light of the Daughters. And in every story told across the stars, one name appeared, the man who fought gods to protect a child. Elias Kane. The human guardian. On the 10th day after the war, Zyra stood before a council made of both humans and aliens. The hall was built on neutral ground, a white tower floating above the sea. Zyra wore no armor, only a silver robe that shimmered softly with her own light. Elias stood behind her, silent but strong. Lyra sat between them, playing with small orbs of light she could now control with ease. The human general spoke first. "Queen Zyra, we welcome your people to Earth space. Together we will rebuild." Zyra bowed her head. "The war ended because of love," she said softly. "Not power, not fear." "A human taught me that," the council murmured. Cameras flashed. Elias scratched his neck, whispering, "You're gonna embarrass me in front of the universe." Zyra smiled slightly. "You deserve worse." Lyra giggled, her laugh sounding like wind chimes. That night, when the stars returned and the new peace lights glowed across the horizon, Elias and Zyra stood outside the tower balcony. The ocean below reflected the constellations like liquid glass. For a long time they said nothing. The air between them was warm and quiet. Finally Zyra spoke. "In my world," she said, "queens are not allowed to love. They are born for duty, not for heart." Elias looked at her, eyes tired but kind. "Sounds lonely." "It was," she whispered. "Until I met a human who broke every rule of the stars." He chuckled. "Yeah, well, we humans are good at breaking rules." She stepped closer. "You risked everything for a child that was not yours. You fought an empire you didn't even believe in. Why?" Elias thought for a moment. "Because somewhere along the way she became mine. And so did you." Zyra's breath caught. The soft wind played with her hair as she looked up at the sky. 2 moons shining over the sea, just like her home world once had. "Then maybe," she said, "this is home now." Far away, Lyra stood near the balcony edge, her hands glowing faintly. She looked at the stars, whispering to them. "Mother says stars remember. They keep every light that ever lived." Elias knelt beside her. "And what do you think?" Lyra smiled, her golden eyes reflecting both moons. "I think every star is someone's heartbeat that never stopped." He hugged her gently. "You're too wise for your age, kid." "I'm both worlds," she said proudly. Human and Reinar, I'm supposed to be wise. Zira joined them, wrapping her arms around both. You are our bridge, Lyra, our future. Lyra tilted her head. Does that make you and Father the past? Elias laughed. If it means we get to watch you fix our mess, I'll take it. Zira smiled. Then let it be so. Years later, historians would write of that night. They would say that was the moment the new age of light began, an era where humans and aliens lived, learned, and loved side by side. But the truth was simpler. It began with a hunted queen, a human with nothing left to lose, and a child who refused to be afraid. One morning, many years later, a young soldier stood before a statue in the galactic garden, a tall figure of a woman holding a child, with a human standing beside her. At the base, the words were carved in 2 languages, one human, one alien. They hunted her for giving birth to daughters, until a human called her his queen. On a distant shore, under twin suns, Zira watched the waves roll in. Elias sat beside her, older now, scars fading under the light. Lyra played in the water, her laughter echoing across the air. Zira turned to him, her voice soft. Do you ever think we were chosen for this? Elias looked at the horizon, smiling. No, I think we chose it. Zira rested her head on his shoulder. And you, human, what do you call me now? He thought for a second, then said simply, Queen of 2 worlds. The sky shimmered above them, full of stars, each one glowing just a little brighter, as if they remembered, and for the first time in the history of 2 galaxies there was peace.